Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Creation Myths. Today, we are going to talk about a creation trick, and that trick is using a script instead of your brain. I want to be clear up front. I'm talking here about using a script during a debate. Obviously, tons of people on YouTube script their videos, and in general, that's, I think, a very good idea. A little peek under the hood here at Creation Myths. When you see slides on screen, like for my normal Creation Myths videos, that's what I'm speaking from. And when you don't, like right now, I'm using a bare bones outline that's appearing on screen in front of me rather than a word for word script, because that's what I do when I teach. So that's what I'm comfortable with, right? When I teach, I have slides. The slides obviously don't use every word. I'm not just reading off of them. So I give myself an outline and I speak kind of from that outline with that kind of general plan and that flow in mind. That's what I do. That's what I'm comfortable with. A lot of people will script out their specific videos, and I think that's great. You do what works for you. I think a lot of online creationists, when they're doing something other than debating, could stand to use a script more frequently because they tend to get rambly and unfocused. They have trouble staying on topic. You know who you are. But in a debate, not in your intro, but in the back and forth part of a debate where you're actually listening to the other person and engaging with what they say in a dialogue, a script is two things and neither of them are good. First, a script is a crutch that the person using it uses because they can't think on their feet. They have the words they know to use, but they don't intuitively know how to use them in response to something unexpected that they may have heard during that debate. So they script out canned responses to this or that challenge or this or that argument, and they just kind of slot them in as needed. And that's lazy and kind of betrays a lack of understanding of the topic. Second, using a script during a debate is just rude and disrespectful. The point of a debate is to engage with the other person participating in that debate. And if you're just going to your script that you already had prepared, you're not actually engaging with what they're saying. You can even see this like happening in real time when some creationists are sharing their screen during the debate and they're open about what they're doing. They're flipping through pre-prepared slides on screen while the other person is talking. Are they listening? No, they're reading through those slides, looking for the specific words or phrases that they think are useful so they can find the exact thing they've already prepared, the exact right buzzwords to respond to the thing that they heard a moment ago when they started flipping through their slides. But if they're reading, they're definitely not listening. Just once, I'd love to see someone start a comment with like a key phrase or like have a buzzword in there. Say like, on the topic of mitochondrial Eve, I'd like to talk about blah, 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 and then change gears and say, but first, and then go and talk about something different, while Kent or Donnie is flipping through their mitochondrial Eve slides, just completely tuning out whatever is actually being said. There's a free trick for somebody to try next time you're debating one of these clowns. Go for it. I think that would be hilarious. Now, this is not a new thing that creationists do. You could go all the way back to like the creationist debater, Dr. Dwayne Gish himself, for whom the Gish Gallop is named. There's a great YouTube channel shown here and also linked down below that has over 20 of Gish's debates spanning from the late 70s all the way to 2005. And they all sound exactly the same. He says the exact same thing for decades. In none of these debates is Dwayne Gish actually debating. He's reciting a script at his opponent, and his opponent is trying to respond to that script. But Gish is not then responding to his opponent, he's just doing more of his script. When he won the debates, it wasn't because he's like actually good at debating, it's because his opponent wasn't prepared for the script that you had to have known he was going to use. One thing I've learned watching those debates, and trust me, I have watched a lot of those debates, is that fake Dr. Kent Hovind is basically imitating Dwayne Gish's shtick, but with his own twist. No matter the actual topic of the debate, how many times have we all heard this one?
This word evolution is very slippery, has 6 different meanings. They confuse the 6 different levels of evolution. The word evolution, we need to also define. It has 6 different meanings. There are indeed 6 different meanings to the word evolution. There are 6 different meanings to this word evolution. I just point out there are 6 different meanings to the word, and we can talk about that another time. I have said for years evolution has 6 different meanings. So the word evolution has 6 different meanings. I stick by that. I say the 6 different meanings to evolution. Evolution, I do this all the time. We got 4 minutes left. There are 6 different meanings to the word. I say much, and there are 6 different meanings of this word evolution. In my seminars, I clearly spell out the 6 different meanings of the word evolution.
Kent is really the poster child for the not actually listening, just flipping through slides for buzzwords behavior I mentioned above. But some younger YouTube Young Earth Creationist debate bros are trying to set themselves up as the next Kent Hovind. Enter Donnie Deals, aka Standing for Truth. SFT loves to do the flip through the slides instead of actually listening to what's going on around you thing, like what I'm about to show you. Check out what's going on here in a recent debate with Mr. Anderson.
If a creature reaches its maximal sort of level of fitness for a given environment and that environment doesn't change, then most mutations that occur are going to be deleterious, just because there's nowhere to go but down, right? And so then it's going to introduce mutation, like mutation is going to introduce variation, and then selection is going to remove that mutation. And that's selection mutation equilibrium.
Yeah,
right?
so here's mutation drift equilibrium right here.
Do you think he's listening to anything Mr. Anderson was saying there? I don't. I think that was just background noise as he was doing a visual control F through his slides looking for exactly the right retort to the very first sentence Mr. Anderson said there. He also does the use the same canned response over and over thing. These clips I'm about to show you are from a span of approximately 80 minutes.
Point is, you're trying to make the no selection zone in terms of these neutral mutations. You're trying to make it as small as possible. But I see you guys magically making the no selection zone unrealistically small, because now they want to make that no selection zone even smaller. You want to shrink that no selection zone.
Why does he keep doing that? It's because, like I said, having these responses in your pocket ready to go is a crutch for amateurs like Kent and Donnie to lean on. They don't actually understand the topic. They can just hear the phrase nearly neutral and zip right back to shrink the no selection zone without having to actually engage with the critique that's being leveled at them, and without having to think more deeply than this is the phrase that I use in response to that one. Basically, tactics like this are a way for creationists to sound smart to a non-specialist audience without having to actually think about or understand the actual technical topic they're talking about. So what's the solution to this? If you're dealing with creationists and they have a script, what can you do about it? Well, there are 2 things I want to suggest. First, really basic, is to knock them off their script. This can be tricky, and sometimes you just have to kind of like jump in and interrupt them. Here's an example of this approach from me dealing with Kent.
All we ever observe are variations within a pre-existing code.
That's the script.
To get 4,000 kinds of potatoes. You
That's
just said potatoes and elephants are related. I would assume you're related to a potato and an elephant also in your thinking. What mechanism would do this? That's why I say, what do you mean by evolution? There's 6 different levels. Dan, you said
no, we're not going to do the 6 levels thing.
Dan, we're not going to do
And here's an example of Mr. Anderson doing the same for Donnie.
And so I'm able to live to 70, and then my kids, because of that mutation they've inherited, now they're only able to live to 68. That's not going to stop them from being able to have really as many kids as possible. But then the next generation, they only live their maximum lifespan 66. But again, that's not going to stop them from being able to have kids.
Pause. So number one, we're way ahead of ourselves. So let's just talk about the first mutation.
The second approach is to know what's coming and lean into it. Tee it up so that when they say what you know they're going to say, it sounds silly instead of persuasive. Here's an example of me using this approach against Kent in the conclusion of a debate about macroevolution. As I expected, nothing I said, all those direct observations, none of that stuff counted as macroevolution. But you know what? That is okay. Because Kent, we agree. You said before, of all those 6 types of evolution, microevolution we agree on. And if none of the stuff I said counts as macroevolution, if all that stuff is just microevolution, it's all just changes within kinds, then the last question I have is what can't microevolution do? We see photosynthetic animals, we see multicellularity, we see a brand new type of green algae, new biochemistry. So if all that stuff is just microevolution, do we need macroevolution to explain extant biodiversity? I think the answer might be no. I think microevolution can do all of it according to what we've talked about tonight.
All right, I think all he has given all evening is examples of what people call microevolution.
And here's my all-time favorite example of this. This is a friend of the channel, Mr. Wilford, debating the one and only Nephilim Free on geology, knowing exactly what's coming and setting it up to perfection. Enjoy this one.
So in many of these folds, you do find the very fractures that young Earth creationists tell us are never found. And I'm particularly concerned with the fact that Andrew Snelling is taking blurry pictures and putting people in front of the cracks. And that doesn't feel right to me. It's kind of fishy.
This is a quartzite boulder that's entrapped inside the side of a mountain. As you can see, the strata deform around it. That's because they were soft and moist after being deposited by the flood of Noah.
So this has been the creation trick of using a script during a debate rather than having to actually know what you're talking about and engaging with the arguments that your opponent is making. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this informative and helpful in your future encounters with creationists of all flavors. Please remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, share this video, and if you are so inclined, please become a channel member. Members get access to all of my pre-recorded videos immediately when I upload them, rather than having to wait for the public release. Thank you again to my super supporters, my second-tier members, Ian and Charles. I appreciate your support. Thank you again for watching, and don't get fooled.